All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com NHL Hit the Ice show. We have a showdown slate to talk about today. We haven't done a show on showdown slates at all this season. So, this will be probably where we talk about strategy for tonight and just overall. Um, we do not have the lineup builder loaded for today. I think it only works for 2+ game slates. Um, but there's not really a ton to talk about as far as the game goes. I think the one thing you always a nice tool to talk about is the line matching, and I don't know. Think Dallas 3 probably sees the most time against St. Louis 1. Not 100% sure on that, but that's what they did in Game 6 against Nashville, and I think one of the other home games they had. Yeah, let's go Stars. I'm rooting for the Blues here. I don't know. I'm rooting for myself to make money though. So the Blues fandom, or I guess the adopted fandom, comes second to trying to make some money here. Hint's been playing crazy. Yeah, he has. Hint's been really good. I guess the good thing about Showdown is that you can kind of predict ownership a little bit better. And this isn't perfect, but I did upload on Fantasy Cruncher the ownerships from the last time these two teams played. So game 2 on Saturday, I just uploaded the ownerships. So these are exactly what they were. Obviously, home to road, Vegas does sway ownership and stuff, implied totals and all that. And different pricing will also change people's ownership. But the pricing, from what I've seen, it hasn't changed too much. So I just wanted to have these in here just to see if what happens when we limit ownership as far as the total lineup and such, and maybe look at some past lineups that have won these last few showdown slates. Because I don't know, I'm far from a showdown expert, so I wanted to do this on my own time. I did some before I got on, but maybe you guys have some ideas for me as much as I do for you about how to be successful at this. I kind of wish they had a showdown. I kind of wish they had a captain spot in showdown for NHL. I think that would add for a nice wrinkle. Plus, then you could make groups with your captain. That would be nice, like you do for NFL. The what was I gonna say? I don't know. I'm trying to read and talk at the same time, so whatever. I assume they'll want to open it up for Dallas 1 and put 3 on St. Louis 1, like you said. I would think so. And the third line for Dallas actually did a really good job that game offensively against the Johansson line, which you don't often see. Like, I think they had 18 shot attempts, which is crazy for Radek Faksa and Cogliano and who's it, Como. So weird for those 3 guys to generate that much offense in that game, but maybe just a one-off. I don't know. I think St. Louis 1 has played better than Nashville 1 did, so there is that. Target shot volume, correlate plays, maybe run a line with the goalie and do 2-player stack back or 2-2-2 stack. Yeah, there's a ton of different ways to kind of attack this kind of slate. I do have my projections uploaded, so you guys can use those if you wish. I don't think they're free today, but I'm sure they will at some point. In the near future, we're giving away a piece of premium content every single day. Fabry value, well, he is on the 4th line, so I still don't like to include a bunch of 4th liners in these showdown lineups. Like, if it's the last guy in and you've jammed in all the studs, then that's fine. But what I want to do first is just kind of look at using these ownerships, and again, these aren't perfect, but they're close enough. Just kind of see what the chalky build is gonna look like. So for that, I just run it for 100 lineups or so, and sort by projected ownership or projection, and sort by ownership after that, and see what kind of comes up. So see which lineup constructions maybe you want to stay away from, which ones are going to be super popular. Because you can already see this lineup right here. You've got 5 really good players: Sagan, Klingberg, Pietrangelo, Shen, Tarasenko. Yeah, it looks awesome, and that might be something you get to when you hand build, but it's probably not going to be Como a lot of the time. It might be a Cogliano or someone else, Lovejoy, whoever fits, but trying to jam in 5 studs isn't always the most optimal because you're competing with so many other people. So it makes lineups really quick, which is nice. Fantasy Cruncher does on these showdown slates because there's no positions. Everyone's a flex. And I think FC has all the correct positions today. Yesterday, if you tried to make any limit rules, it only let you, or it had Erik Karlsson as a winger. So that kind of messed stuff up if you only wanted to include a certain amount of defensemen or a certain amount of defensemen from one team. Probably would have been a bigger issue if it was a guy I didn't want to play a lot of. But yeah, Karlsson ended up working out. I think he had a late assist there to kind of get him to being okay. I saw Fabry line 2 this morning. Never mind. Yeah, they did run the lines this morning. In the Blues practice, it was Schwartz, O'Reilly, Tarasenko, Shen, Sundqvist, and David Perron. So I don't have any rules in here right now, I don't think. Yeah. I don't have anything. There's probably a way you can make a bunch of groups and have it make sense for NHL Showdown. It's a little bit different without a captain spot, though. So a little bit different from NFL. If you guys have been playing NFL Showdown, it's fun. It's obviously a million more entries in NFL, so you're not competing against the same type of volume here. But without any rules, looking at what comes up, it's going to be a lot of, well, these are using my projections as well. So you're going to see Sagan in a lot of these, obviously. But like the studs, and while this looks great, 96%, 90%, you're going to get a lot of really, really chalky lineups. So I sorted by ownership, which is a column I added, 209.3. That's the highest we got here. Interesting. There is a bunch of correlation here. You want to correlate, I think, in Showdown. And again, I'm nowhere near a Showdown expert. I feel like I've got a good grasp on Classic. Showdown is a different beast. But I don't know, take advantage of the variance in NHL because there's so much variance night to night on a slate where there's 10 games. Well, imagine that just being narrowed down to one game. What kind of crazy stuff can happen. So while yes, you want some correlation, a lot of the times it's some sort of, it's one or two guys that makes the difference once you get to the top. Because yeah, it's like looking at this lineup for this slate a couple days ago. This is actually a pretty well constructed lineup, I think. Hintz, Zuccarello, Ben on the power play with those two. Heiskanen, I don't know if you could have fit Klingberg in here, but even if you could have, having a lineup with Klingberg here and then making another one with Heiskanen, or doing a 2v2 swap from something here, that like Heiskanen doesn't correlate as well to Ben and Hintz and Zuccarello because he's not on the top power play with them, but you need basically a part of every assist and a lot of those goals, or every goal, and a lot of those goals are going to come at even strength a lot of the time, so it's fine doing stuff like this. Playing Heiskanen with 3 guys on the top power play, even though Heiskanen doesn't play on the top power play. Some of these other lineups. Schwartz and Tarasenko, those are both what I would consider one-offs. They're not on the PP together. They weren't on even strength together for this game. So this might be a lineup. This is probably a lineup I wouldn't really get to because there's really no stack. It's all one-offs. Ben and Hintz aren't on the same line. You got the goalie, obviously. But outside of that, like, there's not a lot of correlation, and I want to get at least a 2 or 3 man stack in there, and some lineups will have a 4-man stack, so, or 5. You'll have a full line plus a defenseman plus a goalie. So, yeah, this is more what I would consider like a random lineup where you're just kind of hitting or like more of a cashy lineup. If you play cash and showdown, I don't even know if there's any good games for that, but yeah, what I've been doing is making at least one stack. Let's see, what was that? Making a stack like this. You can just do the normal 3-man forward. Add all. Oops, so used to cloning that. Let's say you want to add a defenseman. Same team. So you can still get unique lineups doing stuff like this. If you stack Blues 2, you can easily play a bunch of studs in the rest of your lineup, which is kind of crazy. So I would imagine they're going to be pretty chalky. My projections really don't like Ben tonight, which is worrisome. I did force him in the crunch that I did earlier just to have some of him. I don't want to have 0 Ben, and I think he costs way less than Radulov. Yeah, Radulov is 1,000 more, so I actually like Radulov quite a bit. There is a show today, Mike. Yes, we're going to just talk about Showdown. I don't know if you guys want to see anything on Cruncher. Feel free to let me know, and I'll try to make it happen. Instead of free premium access to a sport one day, let's do access to Jake's CSVs. You probably wouldn't have wanted those this weekend. This weekend, on Friday it was good. Saturday, Sunday, not very good at all. In all formats. Yesterday I had a showdown lineup that, or I actually had 2 with the exact same score. One was with maybe Sorensen, one was with someone else. I can't remember. Vlasic, I think it was. And I had like the nuts going into the third period with Grubauer. So with what eventually ended up being the winning goalie. And both of those lineups, I just needed Vlasic or someone to block a bunch of shots, and I needed no more goals or only goals from McKinnon and Landeskog and like unassisted, something like that. But yeah, it's really tough. You think the swings are crazy in hockey already. In Showdown, one goal, it can completely mess you up. So I try not to look until the end. Grubauer assist. Yeah, a Grubauer assist would have been nice. I was a Nemeth hat trick away from a takedown. Aren't we all? Okay, so again, I would probably try to stay away from this. This looks great for like a cash lineup. If you wanted to play cash or you're playing 3-mans or something like that. Like, these are all players that should be on your radar for tonight. Sundqvist, Perron, Shen. You get the top power play quarterback for St. Louis and Pietrangelo. You get arguably the best 2 plays on the slate from a raw point perspective. So this looks great. It's just, this is kind of crazy. I don't know that you want that much total ownership in Showdown. You need to differentiate somewhere. Did Grubauer actually get an assist? I didn't see that. whatever. Then I almost donked the Grubauer Bink because I know I was less than 8 points away from first with those two lineups. So I needed basically nothing crazy to happen, or no weird goals to happen. And obviously the game blew up at the end. I didn't have enough burns. I'm using about 40% on each goalie. I don't know. What do you guys think should be your exposures for goalie? Let's see. How owned were they? 37 and 28.8%. So again, these are the ownerships for people that are coming in. These aren't projections. I just plugged in the ownerships from the other night. So while these are probably going to be fairly close, I mean, you probably will see Binnington and Bishop flipped as far as Bishop being higher owned because Bishop's at home, he's favored, and all that. But yeah, for me, I play like 10 to 25% with goalies. I just try to do what I think is not going to be super popular in this more than ever. Like, there's going to be a chalky lineup construction. Someone asked me the other day, maybe on Twitter or something, I don't know, do you think that you shouldn't be using a goalie because the last few showdown slates he was noticing there weren't goalies in the winning lineups? And it just depends. Like, if you are using Cruncher, I think you should be so the max today is 88. Like, you should be using Calculate More and changing rules in between your crunch or making multiple separate crunches. And you should maybe go like this. Let's do 3-3. Make sure to do this, otherwise your crunch won't run with the goalie. But maybe you should do 20 3-3s like this. And you can obviously add in stacks. And then let's say you want to do the Dallas Onslaught. You could make a rule for goalie, and now you've got a Dallas Onslaught. Let's say you wanted 10 of those. And then let's say you want a St. Louis Onslaught. You go 5-1 there. And you see you're getting different lineup constructions, just completely different, obviously. You can just tell by the color coding here, but St. Louis Onslaught, Klingberg one off. St. Louis Onslaught, Sagan one off. St. Louis Onslaught, Sagan one off. I would try to correlate a little bit better. So I probably wouldn't want Steen and Dunn, or I don't know, what's a good example of just like I would want to limit the amount of like bad players to maybe one. And what I think you can do, what you can do on Fantasy Cruncher, and this is one way you can use groups, is to take all the line 4 guys, or let's say line 4 guys plus bad defensemen, and select them all. Let's see, Lovejoy, Fadoon, like these guys are guys I don't really want to play. I'm okay if they come up in a couple lineups here and there, but maybe you want to put Como in there and Cogliano and Faxa too, depending on what you think of them. I probably wouldn't, honestly, because you could do a 2-man Dallas 3 stack or something like that. Same thing with St. Louis 3. There's not really a lot of plugs, I don't think, on either team. But let's say you wanted to add these guys to a group, and let's say at most 1. So that way you only have one quote-unquote bad player or a guy that projects really poorly in your lineup at a time. There's a ton of different ways to attack this. Goalies are usually 23%, but I go a little more. You get more points for skater and goals than goalies get for a win and a shutout, so I played no goalies. So two completely different strategies. Well, it totally depends on the matchup, but I see 2-1 and 30 saves from a winning goalie. Right. Obviously, it's going to depend on the game. And I think people are going to see this low total, and they're going to want to get themselves a goalie because the goalies they're pretty cheap. I mean, Binnington's cheap. By the way, if you are using Cruncher, make sure you X out some of these guys. Allen was 0.3% owned last time. Interesting. But like, I don't know. I think that might even be a little bit high, just because we've got a bunch of high volume shooters in here. Like Tarasenko, Schwartz is shooting a ton. Sagan, Radulov, Ben, these guys are all, they'll just crank shots on net. And yeah, you can play those guys as one-offs as well if you're using a goalie, but I don't know. I use goalie less than the field for sure. So my goalie exposures will probably look more around the 10 to 15% for this game, because I think they're going to be 25, 30% each. And I'd rather not because of this low total. It's at 5.5 today, actually. Higher than last game, significantly higher. One build with both goalies, with no goalies, and with each. So 4 different builds for one slate. I mean, yeah, there's always a path for the... I never do double goalie. I don't think I've ever played a showdown lineup that way. The only way you're playing a showdown, or I mean, if you're doing a bunch of different builds, then yeah, you could have a few lineups with double goalie. I don't know. I'd rather avoid that. I don't think that's the best strategy. I think there's going to be enough shots to go around where even if both goalies are making a bunch of saves, you would need like a 1-0 game or a 2-1 game with low shot totals. You know, the winning team only has 20 shots on goal. The losing team has 30, which is making that second goalie be worth it. And really concentrated shot attempts, I would think. So I probably wouldn't do that. In fact, I don't think I'll have any lineups with double goalies tonight, even though it is a low total. But yeah, it's always weird. My exposures as well are not going to be like this. Like, I'm not going to have a guy that's 88%. My highest exposed guy will probably be in the 45-50 range, and it'll be like a Sagan. But when I play Sagan, I'm going to try to avoid the Sagan lineup with 200+% ownership. And that's not even bad. Like, this is one that is actually probably pretty differentiated because, well, you've got 5 guys that are going to be popular, really popular. You also have a guy with 4% that probably won't be that popular. And of course, just like on a 2-game slate that we talk about and 3-game slate, leaving salary on the table can always help. Or I like scrolling through. If you're only using one unique, let's say you're only using one unique. Yeah, we are. So you'll basically get some with the exact same lineup like this. Perron and Shen is the only difference here between these two first ones. Doing something like, maybe this isn't a great example, but all right, so this fits. It's near 50K. Wait, let me try it with. Yeah, it's near 50K, this first one. Instead of fitting in Shen, you go with Parayko. Now that's going to get you under the 49K benchmark. It's going to differentiate you, and a lot of people that are hand building will want to use up this extra salary with like a Hintz or a Shen or someone like that. But you're still playing a good lineup, but you are just a little bit different than other people, and that can make all the difference, I think. So I always I don't always do this in Classic, just looking over all my lineups and going through kind of one by one, and I make changes to probably 10 or 20% of my lineups that I go through. So I'll go through and be like, and maybe an easier way to do it is just to sort by salary, ascending. So you've got the least salary used up here. I'm probably going to have lineups with 47,000 here because I am stacking. But if you can make a better correlated lineup like this. You've got the 2-man stack, line 3 for Dallas. That's fine. Seguin 1-off's fine. Klingberg 1-off's fine. In fact, that's actually a pretty good lineup. So I'd say, okay, that one's fine. You could also go, oh no, you can't get up to Ben there. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't want a ton of Blake Como 1-offs. Oh, this is the Shen one. Dowling, if you can get him out of there. Maybe only have a couple Dowling 1-offs because he might come up. If you're using my projections, he might come up because he's got a decent projection for a fourth liner, and he's 3,100. But if you can change that to Cogliano or use randomness, then just make sure you're getting a bunch of different types of lineup constructions and try to avoid having the same 1-offs over and over again, especially when it's a Blake Como type. Polak, there we go. Even though Polak sucks. Bad players sometimes are 1% owned. Is Polak really, let's say, who's another bad defenseman that we got in here? Is Polak really, I mean, Lindell's not even bad, but for this example, is Polak really 1/10 as likely to outscore Lindell? I don't think so. Block shots alone could do it. Stars line 2 looks solid. Yeah. They're also, those are the lineups that are going to, oh no, we said Dallas. All right, I mean, we said St. Louis. Least amount of ownership. 138. Interesting. Yeah. What do you do with Radulov? I don't know. What do you mean? What are we getting here? I mean, if you're using my projections, you're probably going to still get a fair amount of Radulov just because he grades out so well. But if you're not, maybe the other projection system likes Ben raw points, then you're going to want to make sure you use randomness in order to get some Radulov. Right now, I don't have any randomness on. So you're going to get a lot of the same guys. Playing PP2 and Chalky to go with Dallas 1, also just pricey. He's pricey, but he, like, just on his own, he might end up in the nut lineup with 1 point because he's the kind of guy who can get you 7 or 8 shots on goal and still be worth, because shots are worth so much in Showdown. I think shots are worth 2 points in this. That's huge for a high volume shooter. So like, if you can jam in the Sagans, if you can jam in the Radulovs and Bens and Tarasenko's, then there's really no reason not to, outside of just being different, I think. If that makes sense. Let's look at these again. Did I play this? No, I didn't. I did run some, is this it? The rewind? Some rewinds. I did get, actually, I think I got close to the winning score. What was it here? Yeah, I would have got second here. I'm seeing too much blue on your screen. Yeah, maybe. I think the Blues are going to be lower owned, though. Sagan's going to be the highest owned player. I did kind of cheat on this in rewind, though. I think I ran. 3 uniques. I probably wouldn't run 3. I'd probably run 2. Let's do like this. Why is that only 15 teams? Oh. Let's do 180. So we said 200 was the chalkiest. Maybe you do 180 as your cap. And you guys can upload the ownerships. Just go find that in FC Rewind. You can see the contest. You can still download the CSV. So respectable score, but not quite the top score you were looking for here. Actually, a bunch of pretty decent scores. 96, 92. How did Sagan only have 2 points? Did he really only have 1 shot on goal? That was it? Only played 17 minutes? What is going on? How did they win that game if he wasn't generating anything? I did see the O'Reilly line did a really good job against them. So, yeah, embrace that variance. 50% on guy gets you 2 points. You're probably going to be in good shape if you faded him or went underweight. Rupe. Yeah, Rupe was really good last game. Wow, he was 28%. Where is that ranking? Perron. Okay, so Perron did get demoted, I guess you could call it, down to line 2 with Shen and Sundqvist for anyone that missed that. So I don't know if FC has fixed that. I can check it right now. Yeah, okay, so FC fixed that, but or daily face-off or whatever. But yeah, just be aware of that when you're stacking. I don't know. If anybody's got anything else, feel free to let me know. We can keep experimenting here. Otherwise, I can get out of here because I've got the MLB show in a little bit. And the Deeper Dive is also starting up. Deeper Dive with Adam Scher and Laffy. Those guys will be taking it up to Josh and I, and then we will be building our lineups, talking about weather. If there is any, I don't think there is any MLB weather today. But we'll be talking you through what we're doing. Home run picks, or dong picks, I believe, is what they're called. And lineup builder, Yahoo Talk, all that good stuff. MLB contests are so much better, hard not to play. Yeah, they're a million times better. Well, I mean, the total prize money, the payout structure is complete garbage. Like tonight for, where are we at? Tonight for NHL, 20K total, 25% to first. I mean, that's pretty standard, honestly. It's bad, but that's pretty standard. First and fifth on a 1-game slate. $4,700 difference is all. Man. By the way, if you guys want to enter this, you might want to enter it now. MLB, let's see what kind of Joker contest they have going on today. I think they actually fixed it somewhat. 20% to first, that's not awful. Still would like it to be a little bit less, unless you win it. But yeah, between like first and 10th out of 36,000 people. It's just crazy. But some of these tournaments are good. There's like the $4 that I always enter, that everyone should be entering, really. Where's it at? It's called the Four-Seamer. Yeah, you should be entering this if you play over $80 per day. This is much, much, much better. Still not perfect, but 6% to first. Maybe you'd even want a little bit more. Maybe you'd want like 5K. But yeah, if all tournaments were close to this, we would be in a much better spot, I think. rather than having 100K to first and 25K to second, like we've seen in a bunch of these tournaments when they run out this garbage $5. Like, it's nice, you know, you can max enter it for $750 or whatever when it's the $6 960. But it is also, was my math right there? 900. Like, you're just not going to win that tournament. You're just not going to win it. And when you don't, you are going to lose money. Or when you don't get a top 3 score. All right, so Showdown NHL. We do have a 2-game NHL slate tomorrow, I believe. Let me make sure I'm not lying. Yep. Bruins, Blue Jackets, Sharks, Avs. So the slate will be a little bit different, actually, because the games are on different schedules now. So the Sharks game we usually had playing with the Carolina game. Now that'll be different. Carolina plays on Wednesday with the Blues and Stars. I like how they space the games out tomorrow. That's nice. I like that we get a later start tonight as well. So I can go get some food in between the Live Before Lock show and having to watch this game, or getting to watch this game, I should say. So, thanks for joining me, guys. If you did appreciate this, feel free to give me a like, comment, whatever you want. We will be back tomorrow to talk over the 2-game slate. I know a lot of people have had fun on these 2-gamers, including myself, and have been making some money. So hopefully we can continue that trend. And if you need more MLB content, we've got it all. Projections, rankings from Osmo himself. We have the deeper dive that is a free video with Adam Scher and Dave Loughran coming on in about 20 minutes. And then Josh and myself leading you up to lock. What a day. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Good luck on the Showdown slate. Hit me up with any questions in Premium Slack or Twitter.